Well, hello. I want to say thank you for joining tonight's live stream. And it's a pleasure and an honor to meet a great new YouTuber. His name is Darren, and he's from Australia. And it's great to be able to have him on our live stream. So I'm going to bring him up and let's get this party started. Hey, Darren, how you doing, brother?
All right, yourself?
Good, or good day, mate. Is that what you say in Australia?
That's the thing I've got to point out. We don't all talk like that over here. A lot of people, we got a bit of a joke at the moment. We see the younger generation saying "G'day, mate" and cobber and all this stuff. I think they watch too much internet. I've very rarely said them words in my life. But thank you for the live stream. It's all new to me, so it's all brand new. So hopefully it all goes well, and appreciate you linking me up. And we'll see how we go. As I say, get this party started.
That's right. So yeah, thank you for reaching out and thank you for the shout out in the video. So I appreciate that.
I do that to people. If you know, one hand washes the other. That's the way it is. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's we all learn on each other. And sometimes I watch your videos or watch other videos, and I pick little pointers up. If you're not learning, you're not trying. You know.
That's right.
We all do it every day. Every day we try, just in day-to-day things, work, whatever, family, everything. You know. And but like now, I'm not too sure where you at, but we're in winter, and it's just starting to get cold. So now what happens now? The worms are not eating as much. And breeding as much. So now for myself, I've been like 2-3 years in the breeding side. I've had the composting side for probably 11-12 years, but now I'm more turned not castings but just the worms. It's my first winter, so I'm like, every time I'm checking them, I'm like, oh, there should be more eggs. What's going on? I'm trying to add more food waste because I get a lot of food waste. I grind it up, as you might, if you're watching my videos, you probably know, pulverize it and give it that. That used to keep them warm. But if you put too much, then the problem is then the liquid comes out of it and your bin gets full. Where I've only got little mortar trays and there's no hole, so the water sits on the bottom. So then you get stink, and then you get the black soldier flies and all types of things. And as I said, I'm learning. I'm still learning. I never thought I knew everything, but all the way up to now, they've been breeding very good, pumping out eggs, and everything's been good. A cocoon, all good. And now they've cut back because of the winter. They're not eating as much. So normally a handful of food I put in there. Next week it's still there. Even after I've put it through the incinerator and crushed it right down fine, it's all broke down, but because the microbes, as you're aware and people are aware, the microbes got to get hold of it first, and they break it down, and the worms move in afterwards, right? Most people will say you've got to feed worm chow, all that stuff. That's good also. I do have not worm chow, but chicken crumbles and stuff. I have. It's called wild game fowl. It's high in protein. But if I fed all my worms out, I'll go through bags of it, and then it starts hitting me in the pocket, you know. So, end of the day, it's only a hobby for me, but I'm starting to increase to a small business, and every cent counts. So, if I'm forking out hundreds of dollars for protein to feed them, it's all right on the end where you want to fatten them up. That because you're only 2 or 3 months here, it's easy, you know. As you're aware, I've watched many of your videos. You've got a lot of videos out there yourself about that. You know what to feed them and stuff, and So as I say, we're all learning, and it can be stressful, but we learn. Like I watch your videos or watch other people's, and I think, oh, that's what I need to do. It's quite simple, and save money. So, are you? What's the weather like over? Is it? What was it? Summer? What's that? Where you are?
Yeah, summer. I think it's officially the 21st of June, but today it's like 85 degrees here, and it's hot. and I live in Iowa, so the weather's. I mean, it could snow, rain, and all that stuff in one day, so you never know what you're going to get where I'm at. But yeah, we just had. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go. Sorry. Yeah, right.
Oh, but yeah. But last week the weather was like in the 60s, and the next week it's in the 80s. So it's just weird. The temperature's crazy here.
Yeah, all the typical sinners. It's like when I go on YouTube, the dogs want to bark.
I got a cat. A cat's trying to get in too.
Oh yeah. Your cat's a legend, by the way.
Yeah, she is. I have a male cat too. He's a bigger cat. Let me go grab him real quick. Excuse me for 1 second, okay?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you grab it. Go grab it. Yeah.
Let me just do this real quick because I'm still new. So. Sorry, this is my other cat. His name is Max.
What's your YouTube cat?
He's a tiger stripe gray. But I'll go get the other one, Ruby. Let me go get Ruby. Let her get a quick
Ruby's the legend. Everybody's Ruby.
Yeah, excuse me for 1 more second.
You're right. All good.
All right. Ruby's somewhere in her room or something, but she likes to hide. She has her own personality. Yeah, she's a good cat too.
That happens when the cats get famous. See, they don't want to name anymore. They're like, I'm a YouTube legend. I'll book you in. You know?
Oh man, yeah.
No, but I've got to say, she's a cracker.
Yeah.
Every time you go open any of your worm farms, she's got a head in there, and she's looking. I swear, she's looking at what you're looking at. You know.
And it's funny because she'll be sleeping too, and I'll try to sneak downstairs.
Yeah,
she'll be right there.
Some animals are great things. They are. You know, if you're around them a lot, they're very good. What you put in, they get back a bit like some kids. You know. So yeah, you're saying so. It's warmer over there, is it, at the moment? Warmer weather.
Yep. It's 80s, and I think we're supposed to be getting a lot of rain, so it might get in the 70s. But yeah, it's nice weather. It's summertime. We still plant. We're planting and all that stuff. So
do you get much like I know zero about America, about what's apart from what's on TV, and it's not worth watching. Like tornadoes and stuff. Stuff like that, or is that a different part of America?
Yeah, I live in the Midwest, and our biggest thing is tornadoes. On the East Coast, I think they get like hurricanes and stuff like Florida and stuff, and California. They're the ones that get the earthquakes. So yeah, we all have our natural disasters, but and I know what. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It doesn't matter where you go. There's something after you.
Yeah. So what does Australia have? What's your major disaster?
Well, we have a lot of here, but in New Zealand, they have a lot of volcanoes at the moment. That's a natural thing, but our weather at the moment, we're getting probably we've got 2 degrees, 7 degrees during the day. It's about 18 degrees. I don't know if you use Fahrenheit, or I'm not too sure on that one, but it's nothing like it would be over where you are. We get snow up the Blue Mountains and stuff. That's further out from where I am. So we've got Fredbo. There's different. It's like 10, 11 hours away from where I am. You know. So where I've got my like weather-wise, I've set my shed up double garage up. A bit insulated, but it's not as good as it should be. It's still cold, but not as outside. That's just coming back to money and saving. Where I watched multiple videos like yourself has you've seen. They have spray foam, whatever they insulate so nothing gets in. You know what I mean? Even with the I'm trying to get more the eggs to hatch quicker, etc. Well, they're going to hatch at the same time, but all at the same time, not just hit and miss. So I'm treating it as a small business, trying to get them out there.
Yeah, you kind of froze up. Okay.
Okay. Yep. I'm trying to get the worms out there, the eggs to be all hatched roughly around the same time, so I haven't got them up at different ages. So I've watched a few videos, and some of the bigger people, they'll have a warm room or insulated room where they put just all the eggs so they all hatch at the same time. That's in the UK, etc. What I've done, I'm just watched Mimi Worm Farms and stuff. Mimi, I think it's called. I watch her a lot, and she was using a few years back heat mats to put under seed mats to put underneath the trays to keep the worms warm and breeding more, because the tricks and they think it's summer, and then when they have the cocoons, get the cocoons and put them in a tray and put them on the heat mats. So I'll get more volume, you know. Otherwise, they'll still hatch, but they'll take longer. And to the average person, just anyone doesn't care about that, it's all right. But for me, I'm trying to do numbers to get them out there, because I've got more. I've got more people. I've got more supply than I've got more demand for supply. Whatever you want to say, you know. I was doing work in the shed yesterday. I'm always in there fiddling around. I used to have 1,000. I used to have 1,000 or 250 grams of composting worms. They're mixed breed, so they're not just all red wigglers. In one tray, and they weren't seeming to be breeding as good. So I watched a couple of other videos, Jane and all that. Rocking worms. I follow all her and that. And she was explaining ratio of worms to castings and stuff, you know. So I what I've done yesterday is I put roughly about 130 grams each, so it's about 100 and about close to, well, we got 500 worms roughly in each tray again. So that try to trick them to say that they need to start breeding because there's not many in there. Because if you have too many in there in the tray, they're just like, oh, we're right, we got food, we're happy, we're warm, we don't care, we'll breed when we can, you know. Still get cocoons, as you know, they still get cocoons, but if you're trying to like go up the ladder a little bit as a business, trying to like better myself from last year, you know, okay, I sold this many this year, next year I want to sell more, you know what I mean? And I've started my own website, etc. It's only very new. People are starting to get to know it. To order the worms off, which I find a lot better, because people just order it and the orders come through. As you're aware, you've been around it for a while, and other people watching this channel know it comes through, and then you make the order, etc. Before I used to go on Marketplace, Gumtree. I'm not too sure if you have that over there, Marketplace and Gumtree, and a few other social media things. I got mucked around and messed around with so much. I didn't want to deal with anyone because they don't turn up. Not saying everybody, but there's just a lot of time wasters out there that will want stuff. I'd go and get them ready. I'd spend hours getting everything ready, pack them up, and they wouldn't even turn up to pay for them. So then I'd have to go and tip them all back out again and start again. This way, as you're aware, I've spoke to people in Victoria, Victoria, Australia. It's called Victoria. They got a lot of commercial big farms down there. I spoke to I get my information, intelligence off older generation. Then that's not being rude towards any older people, but they're smarter because they've been as a business person, and before social media. They had to do the hard word of mouth and do the hard way. They've learned that. They've learned to run their business without any of these social media stuff,
Yeah.
And a lot of them told me that the best thing is get yourself a website, and if they're genuine, they'll pay for them, and you don't have to react with people. There's none of this waiting an hour for people or half an hour for people. They turn up, you say $45 for them, and they're scrounging around. I've only got $25, and you're like, and you're trying to be professional because you don't want to be rude to people.
Yeah.
And you think that they're $45 or $40, and you're at my doorstep wasting my time,
Yeah.
So that's my little bit of a whinge.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. So, I'm sorry, stepping over you. You go. I'm sorry.
And so that's what I was saying. So that's as running a small. I don't like using the word business because people think business. They think big sheds. They think big product. It's a bit more of a hobby. But the support of people and backing of people that have bought off me, and word of mouth, more or less. Some off TikTok. I'm on TikTok. And also, they'll. I've had a few people come off them. I've actually had a gentleman the other day. He wanted to buy 5 kilos, and he was very excited. And I got excited. Thought, okay, that's good. That's a good amount. And so I said to him, "Whereabouts are you?" He said, "I'm out California." And I said, I said, "I don't think California's in Australia." And he said, "Oh, So I said to him, "Well, I can't. Like, you have to look. I can give you names, like, worm farmers over there, but I only know them off the internet. I don't know genuine people. Like, I know you from today. We've met today online, but I don't know. You don't know me. And business wise, I don't know what people are like.
Yeah. And
I don't want to say to people, no, go to this person, and then they get ripped off, or something goes wrong, and it's going to backfire on me.
Exactly.
It's hard, but it's way of life,
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a change. I don't want to. I'm a natural talker, so I try not to talk too much. So I always say,
you're fine.
Tell me to shut up or pull me up whenever if I'm right.
No, I'm listening to you.
I've got a couple of little things I've learnt along the way where some people have asked me, how'd you get into the worm castings and stuff? I used to have it's a subject people some touchy on, but I used to breed meat rabbits, big king rabbit, right, for human consumption, right. They used to go to a proper chiller and all that good stuff. Anyway, now anyone's owned a rabbit realizes they eat a lot and they poo a lot. Yeah, I had about 30 or 40 of them breeding at one time. So I'd have up to 70 babies. I was selling to a restaurant, but they'd collect them, they'd take them somewhere. I don't know what happened, but I'd get a check, etc. I'd get shavings free, and the shavings had to be from so they don't have the glue or any poisons in it, and the reason why that is because I put them in the compost bins, which were plastic 44s cut with the bottom cut out. Okay. I had about 7 or 8 of them around all the fruit trees, and what I used to do, I'd have probably a trail of those, probably close to a ton a month of wee and poo and stuff, and the immune would be very, very strong. So I had to take it out because I live in a built-up suburb. Anyway, I used to just put it in these compost bins just to get rid of it because I don't live on a farm. So anyway, this went on for a while. Then I had a few farmers for the tomatoes, all that stuff. Anyway, when it started getting filled up, I used to just tip them out. Anyway, I give it to some friends and stuff, and they grew very good tomatoes with it. And they said, "Oh, that worm stuff you give us was fantastic." I didn't know what they meant. Yeah. What do you mean worm stuff? I said, It's just out of the bin. It's all. And they said, "Oh, can you give me some?" So all right. So I started getting like $1 a kilo for it. I thought I'd get something back. And people loved it. And people loved it. And next minute, I had a following, and I was getting rid of 8 kilos, 10 kilos here. I think the most I ever sold after about 2 or 3 years of doing it, that's where I got in. Then I started getting the worms and feeding it to worms, like compost worms. Probably sometimes people would probably 80 kilos, in a month.
Oh wow!
It doesn't sound much too big for commercial people, but for someone in a double garage, a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of work, and I'd come home from a day shift after 12 hours. I'd been here for another 3 or 4 hours. I'd go to bed late, and I'd be doing that 7 days. But people liked it. But the funny thing is, the natural worms that come up, like the earthworms, the bigger ones, they come up whenever they want, like in your garden. So they can come and go whenever. If it got too hot, they just go back into the earth. So, but what happened? I stopped doing that, and I started going into big totes and putting that in the totes and giving it, and then it used to heat up, and that. It took a fair while to work out ratio and stuff like that. And because of the shavings that soaked the urine up, my shed would stink out. So then I opened the shed up, and your bloody eyes are burned, and the worms didn't like it. So, so that's how I started doing it, and like probably 11 years ago or more. That's on the casting side, and then I had a few people, a gentleman come, and he had exotic fruit trees, which didn't even know that exist. Anyway, he come and he wanted some castings and stuff, and I said okay, and we were talking backwards and forwards, and he was saying that he went organic, and he wanted to know if I was organic, and I said no. I'll tell you straight away, I'm not organic, because you got to be certified. I went and done a 1 day course, a free course, and learned. As you're aware, I'm probably telling you stuff you already know. But anyone's watching this that doesn't know, this is only what I've learned. So it's not gospel, but this is off of proper organic people. Whatever scraps you have in your house and anything you grow on your farm and you feed to the worms or compost, and that's organic. But I was getting food waste from IGA and stores and bringing it into my place. That's not organic. You can't sell it as organic. I didn't know that, so because I started. So if you want to go organic, certified, they won't. If they do a drop visit and they pop into your farm and check your compost any day, and they check it, and they say, okay, it's got poisons or whatever from some farm that sprayed something, they'll close your business down straight away, or you get big $50,000 fines.
Oh my gosh,
that's here. I'm not too sure about overseas, but so anyway, he was quite upset about these trees, and I said to him, we'll cut to the chase. What do you need? Why do you need my castings? You can get you're a wealthy man. You can go and get this. He goes, I want to get back to natural. I want it all good, because what happened? He was selling the fruit. He started selling the fruit, making good. He was getting like $3 or $4 for an apple, and and to the organic people. And so to do that, they do a spot visit and take some fruit off the trees. They took it back to wherever they take it from. It'd be a university, wherever they test it. And they come back and had hormones in it.
Oh.
And he said it couldn't be, you're talking out your bum. It's no hormones. I know what goes in there. They said, where's the manure you put in there? And he showed the pole. 2 doors up from him is caged chickens. They're red, they're laying hens. So he said, I get it from there. So they done a test, and it come up full of hormones. And he still denied it. And they said, ask the farmer what the go is. So we asked the farmer. Now, they give the laying hens, right? And this is only this one farm, so I don't want people saying, I don't do that with my chooks, because I'm just talking about this one farm. It's in their feed, and it keeps them feeling younger and pumping out more eggs. This is the factory ones, the factory cage ones. So they want volume. They want that chook. They just want that chook to pump them eggs out. And if it passes away or whatever, they just fill it. They don't care. So he's been getting all this manure for free, 2 doors up, and putting it for his farm and not realising. And he was quite upset. And I said, well, people don't need to tell you what. They don't need to say, oh, by the way, before you take that, it's got hormones in it. So you've got to be very careful what you get. And anyone does home composting or anything like that, or getting straps or anything, you've got to be very, very careful. Because it's anyone that follows, like I'm not a greenie or when organic stuff, but you look at any documentaries, they keep apples alive for 3 years in factories and stuff, and they can. I watched one where they bring all the avocados from like parts of Mexico or whatever. They put it into a big factory and spray this hormones, and what it makes, well, it pretty much does it all around the world, and it makes all the fruit come all together at the same time. So when it goes in the shop, that's when you go in the shop and you say, oh, look, it's all beautiful. Everything's the same, you know. And that's why when they go to farm market or they go somewhere, they go, oh, it's got bruises, it's got scratches, and it's no good. Because people are trained like robots, this is what you have to have. But you don't know what you're eating unless you wash it, etc. And that's why now I watch a lot on YouTube, of course. My wife goes crazy because I'm never off it. About especially parts of America, you know, the living off the land and growing a lot. They're trying to get a lot of people going back, giving grants to people to grow fruit and veggies because everyone's realizing it. It's a lot healthier. You're paying more money, but it's your health. And if you have like I'm not too sure if you've got a garden yourself. You go to your garden, you get a carrot out, and you have it. It brings you back like you're a kid. You feel very good. You feel so fresh. You want to, you know. My daughter, she's 11 now. When she was 2 or 3, used to walk around granddad's garden and pull out the baby carrots all the time. And she'd eat them in dirt a lot. And people say, "Oh, she can't do that. She's going to get sick." She was worse than the rabbit. She was always in there eating, right? So one day I said, I'm going to figure out what's going on. So I had one. And I tell you what, I was so overwhelmed how it tastes. And I'm not talking fancy garden, just a standard garden. And anything come out of the garden was so fresh. You know? That's if the pest didn't get it first. Not they do. Not the 3-year-old pest, the 1 and 3.
You're right there. Your own fresh fruits and vegetables always taste better. You can definitely tell the difference.
Yes, it's like in Australia here, I only can talk for like where I live, but I'd love to move on the land and stuff. But the problem is you're talking $1 million, you know, just to buy a place to get some carrots, you know what I mean? And most of them places are all clay. They're very, it's going to be 5-6 years before you can even eat anything, you know? Yeah, so it's, as I was saying, going back so he had to knock all his fruit trees down, this gentleman, and start again. So I think it was about 5 or 6 years before he got his first fruit. So he had to start scratch, and he wanted me to supply the castings that start to grow again. But the volume he wanted, I couldn't keep up with. So going forward, all these years I've been doing it. I had it's called Rare Indoor Plants. It's on Facebook. They got more money than most people with plants. I think most of them are well off where they buy plants for $500-$600, $1,000. They're into it. That's what they're into. They used to get castings off me. Now saying that again, and I say I'm telling you stuff you probably already know, but this is for your viewers and stuff. That I used to get peat. Simple thing I used to get. Well, 2 things. I used to get peat moss. This sphagnum peat, Canadian peat moss we can buy here. I'd get that, and I had also at the time I had what they call the home growers. They grow the they call them tomato plants here. They're not actually tomato plants because they smoke them, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they want the good soil. So in Australia, with North America, they're a bit funny. You get cut off, or you get in trouble real quick for saying the wrong thing. I don't know if you know what I mean. So they wanted good soil, and they got sick of paying. So I went and seen. I had them, and I had another shop, and they wanted to pay me $7-8 a kilo for worm castings. So I was feeding them. Well, I was feeding them. I'm trying to make. I got biochar. I used to crush up in the coffee grinder. Minerals, which the minerals come from the the volcano minerals. You can buy already done. Heaps of different vitamins and stuff. Anyway, I used to feed that special mix. You had to get it right because it would overheat or the worm to get protein poisoning and stuff. And I'd have seaweed. I'd have numerous things. And the why I done that, or what you do that for, is, as you know, when the worm has it and poos it out as a composting, as a worm casting, it comes out, and instead of you using 4 or 5 products on your garden, it's already in the thing. So it's already in the castings. So these people were getting it and trying it and saying, oh, they couldn't get enough of it. But the problem was then I had to go and buy stuff. Now, I think it's called the hydro shop, where people go and buy all these stuff to do. I can't pronounce it. You do indoor growing, like hydro things.
Hydroponics.
That's or something. Sorry, can't get my tongue. But
something like that.
Just the normal people, they're not doing they're growing tomatoes and stuff inside. I was going to their store, and they seen it, and they're like, oh, we'll buy castings off you, but we'll pay so much less than that. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but they sell, I think it's called Fox. There's a compost called Fox. There's a brand called Fox.
Yeah, I heard of that before.
Yeah, it's very expensive. It's really, really top of the line thing. It has you can spend 10 minutes telling what's in it. It's all the big growers, they have it. Mm-hmm. I was buying that at $60 a bag, right? And I was using that and mixing it with peat moss to see what would come out. Yeah. Problem was I had to sift it because it had biochar, it had clay rocks, it had some bark, a few other things. By the time you got through that bag, if you just wanted to use it normal, it's not a problem. But for a while, I was trying to do so the worms would break it down. I'd end up with half a bag. So I'd do probably 15 kilos over a 25 kilo bag. But the end product was very, very good. Very, very, very heaps of stuff. One gentleman even went to university with him and started testing it. But being a small, as I say business again, small business, trying to get bigger, I needed room to grow, and I only can get so big. So I couldn't do it. So I had to tell them, no, I can't do it. But this is what you got. This is what people got to do. They've got to try and error. If you're not making mistakes worm farming, you're not trying hard enough. Okay. If you just get your bat and ball and go home because they all died or something happened, you're not true. You're not trying hard enough. You're not into it. I had people come a lot. I had the gentleman come yesterday. The kids have got the worm tower. The kids are turning into teenagers. They don't want to do nothing with worms anymore with dad and mum. So dad's taken over. So he just wants to start it up again for his backyard and that. So simple things. There's so many videos out there how to do it. I'm going to start. I'm thinking about starting this, like yourself. And I watched your videos and a lot of other people's videos. I thought if I do the same video, similar video, but you're done, I feel like I'm copying. I don't want to feel like I'm riding on your back. But people making their first worm farms and simple things, how to pocket feed them and not overfeed them, and people saying, oh, I've got a kilo of worms, I can give them a whole kilo of food every night. and you're like, no, you can't. You'll blow them up. They'll blow up. They'll And I've had same with horse manure, any manures and stuff. I've done that. I get the horse manure for free off of horse stores. I remember getting a worm tower, and I filled every shelf with it. What I thought was broke down, and I remember I had African night crawlers. I wanted to put them in there because anyone's African night crawlers, they like to take off on you until they get settled down. Very, very good composting worms if you can get them to settle down, but they like the warmth. I didn't check them for 2 days, and I walked in the shed. I could smell it before I even got there. And I didn't realize the horse manure heated up, and I had 4 stacks of them, plus the worms were left on top. So once again, I'm going to say it's that's just how I learned. You know what I mean? What I do doesn't mean you can go and do it and get it perfect. And that's what I say when I watch a lot of your videos and Rockin' Worms and a few others like that, regular ones up. I pick little things up, like that's easy, that's good, So, but sorry, just commenting on Rick. You're right, Rick. As I was saying then, what I'm doing now, I'm getting it from a different store, and they got heaps of it. So what I do, I get their older stuff that's been there for months, and I bring it back, and then I check the temperature, I check it and all that. Now, the second thing, which if Rick or anyone else has done the horse manure, or most people have, is a wormer, which is the second thing that I come undone. Before I got this supplier now, I was getting chaff bags full of fresh horse manure for $2. Just helping the young girl down the road, they were selling it. So I'm like, okay, it's $10. It's $10, and for a kid, $10 is a lot. Anyway, I started putting that on top of the worm farms. And then I'm thinking, no, the worm's not eating it. It's what's going on here, it's checking it up. And I said, they're doing the runner on me. The worms are taking off. So I started giving it to the worm towers. I've got multiple little towers, and the same thing. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Like, I'm really, because pretty much I'm thinking myself. So I've got on. I didn't check for wormers. And what happened? The girl that I got the manure off, she's not long wormed the horses. So what the horse doesn't break down, it comes out in this poo. So then our worms will eat the poo, and what's not broke down, it kills them. You say I was poisoning all my worms. No one ever told me that. I knew because I mucked up. I probably sound like I've killed 100 million worms over the year, but I'm talking over the period of 11 years. And I try to educate people what I've done wrong, and say, hey, this is what you need to do. Be careful of. A lot of people say, I don't realise that. So the gentleman I get off now, they have a wormer where it's a lot of people they'll paste the horse, so it goes directly into the stomach of the horse. The horse won't digest a lot of it, and a lot of it comes out the back end. If you feed that, unless you, as Rick was saying, unless you compost it down, then the heat kills the pathogens and all the seeds and stuff like that. You'll get it again. So he has a wormer that goes on their back, and it takes longer to get in their system. So by the time the poo's out, by the time it gets broke down, it's already it's done. I'm not saying it's all. I'm not saying as a scientist it's 100% all out, but I will compost it for a month or so. I won't come straight home and put it straight in the bins, because like 3 or 4 years worth of worm breeding down the drain in 10 minutes. So we've got stable. I don't know. Am I allowed to read these things? Or that for you? Was it our stable owners? Yes. Yeah, Rick. I get mine from where I'm at. I'm Western Sydney. I say Sydney, but people think I'm right in the harbour, and I'm out in the western suburbs. Close to me is I'm in the Hawkesbury, and they have a Hawkesbury race course, and they have hundreds and hundreds of stables. It's massive. It takes a whole area right over. I used to get the stable waste from there, but I used to run into they got so many horses they can't work in. Who you go ask them, has it been wormed? They haven't got time. They're like, I haven't got time to be finding out what's been wormed. I've got 60 horses. So the gentleman vet here, I get him off now. He has your Warwick Farm. That's another one. Actually, funny story. When I was left school, I used to lead horses to the tracks backwards and forwards at Warwick Farm. So I know Warwick Farm pretty good. Warwick Farm is also that's a really big place. What did I say? I cut my teeth when I left school, first job. Go there, stable, getting all the stable waste out. So all these years forward, now I'm feeding it to my worms. It's amazing how much you can learn. I might, I don't want to come across as a know-it-all. I know everything. I don't. I'm only going what I've learned, and most of and once again, I'm not knocking the older generation. Most of the older generation worm farmers that I've contacted, which they won't tell you anything about worm farming, because they don't want to lose nothing. Like I wanted to go to the farm and film and get knowledge off them, and they said straight away, no, we don't do that. I'm old school. I'll talk to you a little bit. I'll tell you what you need to know, but that's about it. And I used to think, oh, geez, they're ignorant. But now I'm doing it. I'm the same. I'm like, no, you just need to know what you need to know. And we have, and a lot of them use a horse stall mix, as Rick was saying. But a lot of, I know I keep saying America and stuff because that's mainly all the worm channels I watch. Some of them big farms out there that do the flow throughs, you see them, they get especially the cow mix and all that stuff and break it down and heat it. They go for a lot of work before they feed that to the worms. And I've watched them for years. A lot of them are not on there now, but it's a free product. You know what I mean? At the moment, I'm using. I went and bought the Canadian peat moss again. I'm lucky because it hasn't gone up in price. So I pay $45 for 220. Was it 220 LB, whatever it's called, the bow? Is it?
Yeah, 220 pounds, 20-pound bow. Yeah, that's labs or pounds or something.
It has a lot. Has a lot on there. So I've been using that. Too many dogs.
You're fine. I understand.
Yeah, and why I've done that is because, as I was saying before, now it's colder here, not as cold as everywhere. The worms are not as eating the product as much. I'm shredding them down and stuff, and the moist, the water will go to the bottom and sit on the bottom of that. Yes, you can make multiple things where you can drainage and all that. I understand that, but a simple thing I'm using at the moment is a pull-out drawer thing from IKEA we have here. It's a plastic. It's meant for clothes, so it's about 3 foot by 2 foot, whatever wide. I'll put that, and then all I do is pull the drawer out, pull the cardboard off the top. I feed them, and I put it back down. I've got at the moment I've got about probably 20 or 30 drawers to feed. It doesn't sound much, but it's a lot. And when I'm hand sifting at the moment, so yesterday I took it out and I've been trying to use all cardboard and using ink again for free, office paper and that. But the problem is they broke the paper down, but it's that moist, that wet. There's no way in any chance you could put it through a sifter anywhere. It's just wringing wet because when I put the food scraps on top, right, they come up, and actually I don't put on top, so I'll corner feed it. So the water goes under the compost, and it sits there, right? The worms don't care about that; they love it, right? But when I go in there to get it out, it's wringing wet.
Oh,
because for all the years I've been doing the worm castings, I always had it where you wring it out, a couple of drops, as you know.
yep.
And never had a problem because I wasn't trying to breed the worms. I just wanted to get the castings as many as I want, and I never had a problem with that. Now I've changed it around where you need to have it more moist, not soaking wet, but moist, and they breed more. And as you know, they breed through the skin, etc. And they like it. It enlarges and they breed more. But now the cold weather's crept in.
Mm-hmm.
They're a bit like us. They like to go to bed and hug up and want to get warm.
Yeah.
And not, they have a bit of a feed and go to sleep.
Yep.
So now I'm introducing peat moss back, which a lot of people will say, we'll put it this way, have their comments on where it comes from, etc. I fully understand where it comes from. I watch the docos and all that. But it's one of these things, if I'm not doing it, someone else is going to be doing it, right? I'm not hurting no one by doing it. I'm supplying the local shop by buying stuff. And I'm doing that way. I'm not out in the paddock digging it up out of someone's farm and killing things and stuff. But anyway, so I'm hoping what it does is put the peat moss in. I've got it wrung out to two drops, whatever, or a couple of drops. I can't say 2 drops because I wring it out. I'm going to use that. So when I introduce the scraps on top this time, hopefully what they don't eat, when it breaks down, it'll soak it up like a sponge. It won't go through the paper onto the bottom of the sit.
Oh, okay.
This is what and hopefully it tries. And at the end, after I go between 25 and 30 days sometimes. And when I sift it, I want to sift it with a hand sifter. And what goes through the bottom, just the eggs and stuff, and the worms stay in the maybe 1/8. I think it is. And I just put that back into the new bed. Save time because I love worms. I'm a worm addict. It's amazing how you get into it, and some people it's hobbies are in the I don't know fishing and all these types of stuff. This is how bad I recently went for a holiday. Thank you, John. John's one of my buyers from Australia. He's got the castings. We actually had on one of my videos. I made a thing at his place where he done his market garden up and used the castings. And
it's awesome to hear that feedback. Great feedback.
Yeah, he's got he lives a place at Foster. I say Foster, it's a little town of Foster. He's back now, to give you an example, his backyard's just all pretty much sand. Now he's in my people, it's up to them if they want to watch my channel or not. I'm not forcing people to do it. But on my channel you'll see his garden, how he's brought bricks up. Anyway, now he had a lot of compost there and the plants are going good. Once again, you have to watch where he got the compost from because some heated up, some had, especially out here we have a lot of mushroom compost. They give it away or very cheap. Now, it's not the bag stuff. A lot of people I see using on worm farms now, they use the compost. That's already been composted, it's in the bag. The heat's been taken out of it. You tip that out, maybe a few hours, that's right. I'm talking about straight from the factory, straight in your trailer, you know. But over a period of time, he spent many months building his garden up. And so I sold him some worms. And it's actually my father-in-law, to tell you the truth. And so he moved from the farm, I was saying where my little one was, where he had veggies there, to up there where he's had to start it all over again. So they grow their own veggies and stuff just for the house. So we ended up getting starting to get the worms bred there. and you see the difference in the yeah, it is calming. Worm farming is calming. Oh, that's a good name. I'll see if I can say it. Kind garden stuff. Oh, I should have just said Karen. I didn't. Yeah. Yes. It is therapy. I can be very stressed. I'm a bit of a stress head, and I can go into I can have my problems and go into my shed, and now alone I'm relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no alcohol. That's just worms.
I hear you. So I have a question for you. Okay.
Sorry. Go. Yeah.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. I appreciate all the information you're sharing because this is all new to me with the organic stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Say I'm new and I go watch your channel and I see you have a business. I watch a few of your videos, and all of a sudden I think I can start I think I can start a business. Can you tell me what would be the pros and cons and how I can either fail or be successful with starting a business? You have any tips on that?
Yeah, I'll give you a few tips. I'm not an expert. I'm still learning myself.
Yeah, well, your method.
I've learned of older generation, which I know someone's going to say, "Oh, he's picking on old people." No, I grew up around old people and on farms and stuff. I didn't grow up around people my own age. And what I've learned, and today, as a man growing up with family and whatever, I've learned of older generation, not my own thing. So I'll just put it in case I upset any of your viewers, anything like that. It's knowledge, So what I would say is, one, where you get your worms from, understanding what worms you actually need. Now, I see in America, everyone's big on red wrigglers, okay, purebreds.
Mm-hmm.
In Australia here, as far as I know, there's only some people might go in and say no, that's incorrect, but I'll give it a go. There's only one farmer that I know actually can guarantee they're purebred. Someone knocking on my door. Hang on a second. Damn deliveries. I probably ordered more worms I didn't realise. Yeah, so sorry, getting back to that. And yeah. So one, what type of worms you want. If you're just happy with normal worms, composting worms, which here we have blue worms, tigers, red wrigglers, and probably a couple some have European night crawlers mixed with them. That's not everybody, that's some. I recommend, if you're just simple for your backyard, stuff like that, wherever you're from, whatever town, if you're over, say in America, we'll go to America, right? Okay. What I've seen, Mimi's worm farm seems to be a very good one. I've heard nothing but good things. I've never met her. I don't know her personally. Like yourself, I've only met on screen today. Yeah. But go to a farm like that. Explain what you want. As far as I know, what I've watched hours of her video over there and stuff. Not just her, but just someone like that's been around for a while that will tell you, hey, this is what you need. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars. When I started, I wanted to go big. I was going crazy. I wanted the best of the best, And when I sat down and worked how much it cost, so pretty much whatever worms you want. So if you're just happy for food scraps for the kids, for your garden, just get a mixed bunch. I sold mixed ones where they're tigers, blues, and stuff like that. Now, once you get that set that up small. Now, if you get things for free, horse manure, scraps, stuff like that, for bedding, do so. Now, the bedding also on the side, you have to. It's a different thing, separate. The worms are always going to be worms. You need to get all your stuff separate, like making sure whatever you give doesn't heat up, it's broke down, it hasn't got poisons in it. Numerous things. Get that sorted. If you're happy with peat moss, if you're happy with cocoa core, I say do that because you pretty much can't go wrong with that stuff. Okay. Some people might put lime, a bit of lime, garden lime with it. If acidity, that's another thing. Acidity gets high. I haven't found that yet, but people will do that. But once again, you have to pre-mix this stuff before you put the worms in. Don't put it in and then whack the worms in, because the worms duck down. And as people know, the worms are very sensitive. And it's like your bottom lip, right? Inside your bottom lip. If you if you have a cut and you put an orange and it hurts your lip, that's what the worm's going to feel, right? So this is what you got to be careful. So one, you get what worms you want. 2, the bedding. Get your bedding ready before you even put them in. Leave it for 24 hours in case it heats up. What size bin and stuff you want. Now weather, it's got to do with the weather. Where you're from. As I say, where you're from, where I'm from, we don't know where everyone's. It could be cold. We're getting colder now, so we can bring them indoors. There's places that snow. I can't comment on that because I've never been around snow. So, but once you get the bedding and your worms done, let them settle in for about 24 hours, I'd say, until they get hungry. Now, when you order the worms, it's same subject but a little bit off track. A lot of people will get worms, especially when I sell the worms, and they'll say, "Oh, they're small. They're small." Okay, I weigh 250 grams. That's just me, right? That's roughly should be about 1,000 worms. The smaller the worm, like I don't mean all of them are small, but there's some juvenile in there. End of the day, you probably get 3,000 or 5,000 worms off me. And a few months, you got 4, so you're in front. You're actually in front. You know what I mean? I'm behind, so I'm actually losing. So I'm not trying to cheat people out. So if you get smaller worms when you buy the worms, and don't freak out, because in a couple of months when they start eating, you're right. Now, food scraps. You can simply just pocket feed, go in, depending if it's a plastic tray or mortar tray, as I say. I think it was your last video, you had one in there, how to feed, with your famous cat was helping you. Just enough. Don't go on the logic. I just bought a kilo of worms, so I'm going to give him a kilo of food. I've done that. I tell you what, it backfires, because the amount of heat in that food, and then you put the lid on, and you lift the lid. If you've got no lid, they'll just take off. Pocket feed, even just a handful. I know kids get impatient. I want to feed. And that's the next thing I was going to say. So you pocket feed, or in the middle, so they can whatever you want to use, so they can escape from that heat, whatever way it is, they can escape, right? Then you want to keep, depending where you are. We here on probably they're all around the world. Black soldier flies we get here. If they don't break the food scraps in, the black soldier fly will get in, lay its egg, becomes a maggot, becomes a worm, larvae, and then it gets bigger, and then into a fly and flies out. If you've got something like that in your house, you're going to have, don't get me wrong, they won't hurt you. These black soldier flies won't hurt you. You can pick them up. People freak out. They'll want to burn the house down. You can pick them up. They don't hurt. But you don't want them in there, do you? So corner pocket, feed them, whatever you want. And just start small. And I know I probably jump at subjects all the time. Sorry, but
no, you're good.
You know who I learned it off? I learned all that off Mimi's Worm Farm. Yeah. Anyone's watched her, and I'm not. People are going to say, "Oh, you must know her," or "She's paying me money," or "I'm on a." No, it's not like that.
Yep.
So
I understand. Yep.
Any keyboard warrior out there wants to waste their time, go ahead, but I've never met her.
Yeah.
You go to her videos and how she started. She started with a small thing of worms. Yeah. Right. And it grew and grew, and that's why I liked it, because I heard that story, and from all her videos, I've watched her grow and grow, make mistakes, get fired, things go wrong, life go wrong, all that stuff, right? And then I thought, now that's not staged, that's real life. That's And if you're not making mistakes, If you put too much food scraps, they die. What's the worst? You tip it out and you start again.
That's right.
Grains, I learned with grains, I was getting the brewery grains. I'm not too sure from where they make the beer and that. They throw it away. I thought it was a good idea to get in it. I started feeding them that. But what I didn't realise, the grains still ferment. They still ferment. They still heat up. Okay. So you just got to be careful. Go to, like, there's one farmer here. I can mention names, but I without asking them, I don't like mentioning their names because it took me this long to get where I am. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. It's not a bad. I'm not saying bad things about it, but they'll grow. They'll have red wrigglers, guaranteed, right? Now I've had them, but not all pure ones. I've not long got some, and normal composting worms you can buy online from the person themselves, from the big farm. They do it for a business, and you're paying $45, $50 for 1,000, roughly 1,000. It could be more, as I said before, right? And very healthy worms and very good quality worms. That's why I go there, right? Or it's 10 hours away from. I order them online. Now I've got some red wrigglers. They're selling for $65 for 1,000. And you see the difference? Yeah. So really what market you want, where you want to aim, you can get red wrigglers off these people, and people like them for fishing because I do see now they are a bigger worm and more healthier, and they're very good composters, and they're out of all the worms in my big shed, they're breeding in the cold twice as much as the normal ones are. I don't know what reason, but they're just breeding good. So going back to suggesting what worm you want, now you've got your night crawlers and stuff. I got them. I've not long gone into breeding them because in the Hawkesbury here, I've got a river pretty much not far from me, and people want them for fishing. Now there's a very high demand. Now the demand's got that high now. I'll sell them for $1 a worm, $1.10 a worm. Okay. People buying 200 worms at a time. Oh, I had, and I'm not BSing anyone. I'm not putting tickets on myself. This is why I've gone into it, and all the commercial people sold out. Now, before I get sidetracked again, sorry. So you get the African night crawler. Right, very good, very good fishing worm, very good composter. They love paper, and their breeds very, very good. But you've got to keep them. You've got to keep them in with a lid on. You've got to keep them in a warm area. Yeah. Now in Australia here, I see online. I've never visited the people. They have all year round heated blankets in the big bins. So that's good, but when you get them home, they don't tell you that. So you think, oh, beauty, I want composting worms. This worm's going to be fantastic. How I know? Because I went through it. I bought them. They're breeding very good. The second it starts to want to rain or drops in temperature, they just take off. They bolt. They'll take. Next day I went out and the whole floor was worms.
Oh wow!
Like $250 down the drain overnight.
Oh.
So. Because they sell, see the craving and prices too. So African night crawler, they'll sell say 250 grams for $40, $50. They don't sell them per head. So African's very good if in the hot climates. I see a lot of videos in Texas and over in America there, but they thrive. They go very good because they don't get below certain degrees. Now, the European night crawler, which I breed or started breeding, even now it's colder. I've got them out in the outside rows. They're still breeding, but they're not eating as much. Now, also a good composting worm. And then if your husband or wife or cousin wants their fish, they have to go far. They just go into the worm farm and grab whatever they want and go down the lake and they save it. They don't have to come to me and buy it for $1 each. You can if you want, but You know what I mean? It's not all about
Yeah.
the money. Money comes and goes.
That's right.
You can be rich one day and poor the next, and you're better off. I'd rather have more knowledge. Knowledge is more richer than money in life.
That's good.
I sound like an 80-year-old talking, but it's just because I grew up around older people.
Yeah.
So as you're saying, the breed of worms. So you got your bedding, you got where you're going to keep them. If it's indoors, outdoors. So you got your African night crawlers, you've got your European night crawlers. They're very good, but also it comes in depth. They like to keep down certain towards the bottom of the bin, right?
Okay.
So if you've got like yourself on your video, you got you and your cat feeding the worms, when you open it, if it's a mixed bin, you'll find the reds and stuff are always on the top, the top 2 centimeters, whatever you want to say. That's their food area, right?
That's right.
So the night crawlers, they're happy. They'll go halfway up. So if it's here, they'll go halfway up, eat what they have and eat. They'll come back down.
I hear you.
How I also know that, I have tried the what they call it. There's a plant. What they call it? They grow plants in this. It's a pot. It's Velcro or not Velcro. It's breathable anyway.
Okay.
And anyway, people use them for the plants because a lot of air goes in that. I was using them, and when I was doing it for the people doing the hydro, I was doing the reds weren't eaten right through. They were eating only on the top. And this is when I was using all the stuff. I bought the Fox, a compost, and all the real like top of the line stuff. I'm talking $300 worth of stuff, just like a science experiment. So then I started adding night crawlers in there with them, right? Now people will say that if you mix them together, the night crawler will outbreed the compost worm. It may be true in certain climates.
Yeah.
If you're not worried, you're not trying to resell them, you won't ever know.
Exactly.
Okay. After a few days, I noticed, they're starting to drop. The level of the compost is dropping. So I'm like, what? So I'm like, and that's how I learned. And then when I looked it up, I realised, they'll come up and they'll eat what the other top feeders don't eat.
Yeah.
So and even in big, like a big bin, 40, I call it 44. I don't know if it's the same terminology in America. 44-gallon drum. We have the plastic ones here. I cut the bottom off, and I had night crawlers in there with just the normal earthworms, the wild ones, they say, so they can come and go whenever they want.
Yeah.
Now, the earthworms, you find on top eating the scraps and whatever you put in there a few days before. The night crawlers, you had to dig right down to find them. And what they do, they're actually smart. They'll come up, they'll wait to the hard workers, which is the compost worms, right? They break everything down and get a gut full. And then they'll come up and they'll just take it and go. They don't wait. You know what I mean? A bit like the kid a bit like a teenager when they want tea, they just want to, here's your tea, and they run off with it. They don't want to cook it, they don't want to muck around with it, they want to stand it, give me the food and bye-bye.
Yeah.
So this is what I've learned with them. So end of the day, depending what market you want to sell them, I've got mixed ones. I've just started getting red wigglers. The reason why that is because it seems that they grow bigger, and I can on my fishing, because I've also got like Hawkesbury worms. Like my channel's called DNA Worm Castings, but I've got Hawkesbury worms as a business name.
Okay.
So I do that. It's one if they watch some of my old videos, I'll see it, etc. I did try to put a pen up behind me, but you couldn't see it, so that's why I ended up blowing it out.
Fine. Yeah.
Like stuff out. So because of the demand of fishing worms, I thought to save people money, I could sell the compost worms to them for fishing, because around here we've had the local competitions, right? It's not big money, but local competitions. Everybody wanted worms. Couldn't get night crawlers. Everyone was sold out. I started selling compost worms. Now, I said to the gentleman, I need feedback to tell me how it goes. Now, I've watched heaps of videos about it, but he was saying the only problem was he had to put 3 worms on one hook because they wiggle off, right? Because you might get a turtle or something. So he went for the worms really quick. So it ended up costing him a lot of money, And so this is when I thought, okay, if I can get a red wriggler, and they are like 4 months old, and I feed them good feed, and I get them all good feed, and when they ring, a lot of people ring you an hour before they want to go or the next day. The kids decide they're going to go fishing, so they go, they'll text me. Now, most of the commercial people or anyone in the big business don't muck around with stuff like that. They don't talk to the people. You email them, as I said before. You order them, but you could be waiting a week before you get them. Yeah. That's the only other thing with me. If I'm not working, I'll say, yep, Hank, give me an hour to sort something, and you're there. And people love it. People go, man, it's like it's like click and collect, like Woolworths. You can come and get the worms. I said, but that's what I'm trying to make for me. That's what I want to make it easier for people. And why I say that is because when I started, I had to go for all this. Wait for a week or 2 weeks. Your worms didn't come. They come dead. There wasn't the right worms. But it's up to the person who wants to have them, And if you want to, and people come to me, I got a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, a handful of childcare people after school holidays come back because whoever's meant to be looking after the worm farm hasn't looked, they're all died. So they want to put some worms in there before the kids notice, before the kindy kids come back. And they'll ask little things, what am I meant to do? And as I say, just keep them out of this direct sunlight, don't overfeed. And little kids, when I'm talking little ones that don't know, like under 5 or whatever they are, but you have to hold their hands. They'll want to get in there, or they want to be kids, so they're going to lift the lid off. They want to get in there and play with them, or or they're eating an apple and they keep putting stuff on you. You're busy as an adult, you don't realise. So you haven't got time to be checked. So you just put the lid back on and go get the kid back inside, And next minute they're all dead because there's 10 bloody full apples in there,
Yeah.
So that's what I've learned. And it's a slow thing. You can't, it's not overnight where it just goes boom and it takes off. I've had, if I somehow I had a magic wand and I woke up and I had 20 acres, well, that's different. But the bigger you get in any business, the more output, the more work. And also getting back, as I was saying, Mimi's Worm Farm, one of the videos she was saying, it was called Pick My Brain, it was. And I've learned a lot of stuff off there where it's the bigger you get, the more work you got to put in. And then, and then it's like she's doing 14-hour, 13-hour days sometimes. I don't do that in normal.
Yeah.
Huh?
I hear you.
All that stuff. And I'm like, I scratch my head thinking, that's what are you doing? Like, you building a house or what? And that's with help with a daughter, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to be careful how far you want to go. You've got to stop and see how you go. I had when I was doing the casting side, and I had a lady. She had exotic plants, and they were very they were very fussy. What they buy, and they look at the bag, make sure there's no plastics, nothing like that. I didn't care because I was getting $8 a kilo at the time, and I couldn't get enough. I was sending it in the mail. I was sending it in by mail. People 50 kilos wanted 50 kilos. It cost more for postage than actually doing it. But because of the product I had, they liked. But getting back to business wise, and as I say, it's only what I've learned, so it's not gospel. Now, her terminology was, because she teaches people in small businesses, running small business, and she said it's like going to the beach. You go into any beach, right, and you're not a real good swimmer. You go into your knees, let the waves smash on you, right? You're comfortable. You're comfortable. You can walk back out when you want. You can move back out. In a few months, when you want to go and when you feel you want to grow, you're walking the water up to your hips. Okay, it's what you're comfortable with. But whatever you're comfortable with, you have to be able to back out if you can. Don't go into the surf up to your nipples and then whinge that you're drowning or you can't get back to shore. And that's what people do in business. I nearly done it myself. I wanted everything. I wanted all the brand new stickers. I wanted, only because my father-in-law and my wife and that have pulled the reins and said, you need to calm down. Just, it's easy done. It's easy done. Before you know it, you got thousands of stuff. You don't know what even works, what does nothing. Because you can watch a YouTube channel and go home and you can't do this. You're thinking, but how are they working? I can't work it. But to say, what I can see over in, I'll say America because it's split up many times. It's a big like you got I think Arizona worm farms and all that stuff. There's a lot of big companies over there that got a lot of worms, and I'd recommend seeing someone like that if you first start. Pick your brain a bit. They're not going to fear you. They're not going to go, I'm not telling you what I know because you're going to outdo me. These people have been doing it for 20, 30 years. You're not going to catch it overnight. So it's, so if you just get them subjects, as I said, bedding, food, and stuff like that, you shouldn't have to buy any food. Every household, I've followed it for a long time, like the composting side. They reckon like most adults throw away about 1 kilo of food per household. You got 5 people in the house, that's per day. You know what I mean? This is what you got to remember, because it's easy just to throw it down the incinerator or throw it away. You don't count what you have. We've all done a real guilty of it, right? But when you actually got to get that same product and shred it down or give it to someone, give it to the worms, and then 3 days later you go, I've got more, I'm going to go back and they still haven't eaten it. So you think, I'll put it in the second pocket. You know what I mean? That's when you got problems, because it's going to get rancid, it's going to get nasty, and then you're going to get bugs and stuff. I'm not too sure where in America, we suppose you do. I'm talking like Americans are halfway across the bloody world. They probably are. Fruit flies. You have fruit flies over there?
Yeah, big time, especially from bananas.
Yeah.
If you have, they come. They say that what I heard is that there's eggs on the banana peels, so that's why we get them in the house and stuff.
A lot of people put them banana peels, etc. They'll get them and put them in the oven for a little bit, or microwave, kill anything. That's if you wanted to.
Yeah.
We've got with fruit flies. Now another thing I've learned with the fruit flies. Now, when I was selling the worm casting for exotic plants, right? When I started enlarging into the bigger bins, because I was like, I'm going to, like, it's a bad terminology, but balls to the wall. I'm going to go big here, because I got all these people want to buy. So I was going into 6x6 bins, and I was even looking at renting a bigger, at least a better area in it. So what happened then? I started introducing food scraps again, and I go to the IGA and any store have it, right? Depending what it is, food scraps. I'd shred them down in the shredder and give it to them. The worms loved it. The worms were going really good. Everything was going good. I started getting bigger. I started selling a lot more castings and stuff. Anyway, next minute I had a lot of people coming back saying, "Hey, I don't want to upset you, but you got flies in your compost, in your castings." I'm like, "No, I can't, because I hand sift everything. There's no possible way." And next minute, I'm getting like 10 a week saying it. I'm like, well, that can't be all wrong. And what it was, the fruit fly lays the eggs in the compost, in the worm castings. And I didn't know. So I'm hand sifting, beautiful worm castings, you know. I'm bagging it. I'm giving it to these people. They're putting on their plants inside the house in maybe a week, 2 or 3 days. They've got these flies going around the house.
Mm.
And they're saying, I've got fruit flies in my house. Fruit flies in the house. I'm like, okay, well, they can't come from me. So I went in the shed and had a look. When I pulled the cover back, I'm like, oh, they have all these fruit flies. And getting back to a business, that was the ending of me making money out of castings, because from that day on, the word got around and no one bought anyone. No, I'm telling you, it ceased. It was like a light switch. I went from 80 kilos a month to 8 kilos a month. And it never come back because of that one mistake. So I know they say you make mistakes and you learn by them, but these people were spending big money and they like, no, I'll just go elsewhere. So getting with worm castings, because I've spent a lot of time doing it. We have a lot of stores like Bunnings. Do you have Bunnings over there, or is it called Walmart?
Walmart.
Bunnings? No.
What's that?
Do you have a Bunnings?
No, we don't have a Bunnings that I know of, but it's Walmart and Target, stuff like that.
Well, they sell the worm castings all pre-done and packaged, commercial, and people do the easy way and they go and they get that. They'll get that. But then they realise it's been on the shelf for 12 months, or they don't know what's actually in it. And how I know, they've come back to said, oh, I know, they showed me the packet. And I'm not going to put names out there. That's I'm not that type of person. Yeah. And I'll tell them, listen, you don't know what's in it. You don't want it. I've told them, go on the YouTube and you put in certain things on there, which is not against the law, their name, whatever, and they'll show you how to make it. And when you do see it, you know, two of the companies, and they're pretty big companies, right? Two of the big companies, they have humus. I think it's called like human manure. You know, I think it's called. Do you call that? So they collect all the human waste, and they mix it with the bark and all that stuff. They do it all. It's all done properly, right? In big windrows, they do it all that. But by law, they have to put on the label that it's got. I think it's called humanoid, something. The pronunciation for it. Oh, and they have to put on there. Yeah, they have to put in there because, especially after COVID and all that, it's been real red labeled. But you're putting out your tomato plants and you don't know what's in it. You know what I mean? Now I don't know if they do testing for germs and stuff. But these companies, all they're worried about is getting volume. They want to go in and out. They want to. They've got shareholders. The more they pump out, the more. Okay. So they're not like the normal compost bloke down the road that's got stuff that spends his time doing it, you know, and knowing what goes in. And you might spend a little bit more, but you're not growing tomatoes and thinking, you know, what am I eating? Once I've told them, they go, they can't do that, and I'm like, well, they do, because it's written on. You turn the packet around and have a look in the back, and it's written in black and white. They have told you what's in the ingredients. They're not hiding it from you. So, it's a little thing to watch out for. You know, when you do, pretty much you do your own. You know what's going in there. But it's a lot of people want the quick fix now, you know.
Hey, one second. I'll be right back. You keep talking, okay?
Yeah.
Keep talking. Yep. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yep, no worries, buddy. Yes. So so it's, if you're buying store-bought stuff and packets, you don't know how long it's been there. You don't know. You got to look at the back of the packet and make sure what's in there. because there's a lot of stuff they can get away with. As long as it's labelled, they'll sell it. With microbes and stuff like that, a lot of that dies because it goes dry, and it's if you know, it's not hard to do compost. There's thousands of stuff on YouTube that will show you how to do compost. If you're buying mushroom compost or you're bringing some type of compost, I see in America there, or it could be everywhere. It's called, I think it's called Red Cow, yellow packet. I've seen a lot of bad things where it's not composted down properly, and people put it in the garden, whatever, and it heats up and kills all their plants or goes toxic. There's a few channels I watch, organic channels that if you watch them, they over there, they're a church mob, which is not. I've got no problem about church people and like that. That they raise all the stuff for the veggies to feed poor people and street people. They use this. I think it's Red Cow or something in there, and turn everything toxic. So they lost thousands of dollars worth of product, and the people were relying on their product. So once again, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you have to be very, very careful what you're buying. You know, trial and error. Try a little bit. Same with worms. I see many videos of people like, oh, I use. Well, I know one lady used mushroom compost. I said, oh, it'll kill them. And she's been doing it for years. You know, if you buy it and it works, why not?
That's right.
As I say, what I do if I get the horse manure or bark or anything like that, something that's been composted, and I come from a strange place, I'll put probably an ice cream container and make a little mix in there, but like a smaller version, but in the big bins, and then I'll get 2 or 3 worms, and I'll put them in there, put holes on the lids, right? I'll leave them there for 24 hours. I come back, they're dead, or I know that's something in there is toxic. There's something in that compost if that's toxic. Instead of putting it in 6x6 bins and losing 100,000 worms, and going, well, shit, what have I done? And then that's the bigger curve. I've learned that also of Mimi's worm farms. You know, she was saying many years ago she had a big die out like that because they were feeding windrows. Not a problem. They changed the horse stables, done the same thing, and come back and lost lots of money. So I think you got to be passionate about it. You got to like it, like anything. If you like it, it's not a job. You know,
Right.
And I like doing it. There's some days where after I'm sifting, I just want to throw the sifter out the window and kick the dog or cat. It does my head in, but that's not their fault. That's my fault because I'm not it's the castings are too wet or I'm tired or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, I follow a lot of countries like India and stuff like that. I've got about 14%. I only know that because the algorithm, whatever it says on the YouTube.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not picking on countries, but the poorer part of countries there where they use the toilet they go to the toilet on the street kids and stuff, and it's very bad. I'm not picking on the country, but a lot of poor people, they don't have toilets, right? Mm-hmm. There's companies there that have gone in, the UN, whatever they call them, they go in and they're trying to work out how to get this waste. So they put the toilets in, right? Now, they're trying to work out where to get this waste and where to put it. And people are using worm farms, composting it. Now, they're paying big money for people from America, etc., probably around like the UK, whatever, to go over and educate people how to do it, because they were just putting tons of stuff all together and put it on top of the worms and they die. And some of these countries are very hard workers. that's the thing. They're very hard workers. They'll work all day, but knowledge is everything, and they don't know, and they try, and they think, okay, well, if I pour 250, say, a massive big truck full of poo and toilet paper and bark into an area on top of all the worms, they'll eat it. No, they've got to work it out. So countries like that, I find it very interesting. A lot of people here in Australia live off the grid now. They're starting to have worm compost toilets. Not too sure if you've seen them before. They're all different ones where you can do it in the bucket, carry the bucket out, compost, and then put the worms in there. What they're doing is using 2 IPC tote ones. So if the toilet's up here, you flush as normal, so all your product goes into the bin, into the first bin. It's got bark, etc. The solids will stay on the bark. The water will go down. Once the water gets too high, it goes through another pipe into the empty one where there's no worms, right? Probably worms will get in there after a while, but and then when that fills up, right, it's like the worm wee and what's been broken down, and then it goes into a pipe down the hill into the fruit trees, whatever. Stuff you're not going to eat. Now, that's a big thing. There's a company here, I can say, Worm Solutions. I can't say his name because it doesn't affect him. Worm Solutions. I think in Queensland. He runs a big business. I mean, he makes a living out of it. He's got a tractor. He's got these big in-ground tanks where he puts near your house. And fills it full of worms, and the worms break everything down. But then getting back to that, it's common sense. You can't use bleach or any cleaner in your toilet. You're going to kill the worms. But if you want to live off the grid or you want to go, go that way, you can do it. There's heaps of countries I watch my channel that doing that have asked me. I have one of my channels, one of my episodes there. I do the fermenting bucket, which is Mark Payne. You would know over there. He's been doing for years. Mark Payne. I pronounced his name right. Fermenting or
it's fermenting. Bokashi?
He does that. But he's from I should know his channel now. Fermenting buckets it was. So anyway, so you get your scraps and you wrap it in the toilet paper or the paper, right? So you put you stack it. So you put your compost, whatever you want, horse manure, and you stack it around and you do the lasagna like that. And you put the worms on top and they make their way through when they're ready. There's vents where the heat escapes so it won't burn the worms. The worms will they'll go down to the bottom of the bucket in 3 or 4 months. Now, why I brought that up is because a lot of my viewers that live in Brazil, and there's actually one in the Amazons. They come from Amazons, right? I don't know where to get a computer or phone in the Amazons, but they got them out there, and they were very happy to see me how to make it and what to do. Now, that's another way of composting your own stuff. If you want to compost your own stuff, that's an easy way. It's a set and forget. You just put it there and you leave it. You know what I mean? And you come back. You can check it once a week if you wanted to. But after 3 months, you'll see one of my videos there. It comes out and it's so healthy. And the worms, I'll tell you what, the amount of worms that breed in that area because there's so much food in there. They actually breed better in that bin in 3 months than my normal ones do. Because they've got constant food, they've got the warmth, they've got the moisture, everything. So it's so Mark's been around for a while. I think it was his channel's fermenting buckets or fermenting way or something like that. Most people in America know him. He's been around for a long time. Well, he's using big 44-gallon drums now. And he's doing the same thing, but in 44 plastic drums, big ones. Now the moral of the story is it's a great way of doing it once you get it done. But on the composting side, if you don't want to breed worms, you don't want to muck around, you haven't got time, but you've got a lot of waste, that's a good way of getting rid of it. So save it in your buckets. Don't worry if it goes off, whatever, as long as it's not in your house. Save it, and then once you put it into the paper will keep the smell down. And once the worms are happy, and they'll come through after 3 months, depending on the size of the big drum took about 3 months, but smaller to about a month. Now they'll start breaking down. As they're starting to break it down, you can collect it from the top even, what they've already done, because their castings come to the top, right? Because all from here down, they're already home. That's their house. They're eating, so you don't want to touch that, right? So you're happy just to get some, put in your pot plants. It's an easy way, and it's no smell, nothing. You can bring in the if it's done right, you can bring in and put in your house plants, stuff like that. Do you for yourself? Do people might come and see you for a lot of for gardens and stuff? Do you sell a lot of castings yourself?
No, I don't. I just use my own castings. Like one person got castings from me, but I don't really produce a lot of castings. With the supply and demand.
So on your side for yourself, I see I see it on YouTube and that. So what's your what do you call it to go with worm farming? Are you just promoting worm farming on your channel? What do you do with a part of worms, if you know what I mean?
Like if I'm selling worms or something?
Just in general. So like for your channel, I've watched your channels, how to make beds, how to bedding, how to feed them and stuff. But for me, I put mine how I'm growing the business, how I'm growing worm farms.
Yeah.
What's your go-to on your one? Is it what are you mainly on about knowledge and stuff?
I'm just more knowledge. I'm more like, if I could, I would be like just do full-time workshops. That's what I would like to do. I like to would like just go and educate people. I'm not in it for the money. I am.
I try to get in the crowd. So yeah. You go. Sorry, go. You're right. Yeah.
Oh, but if people want to buy worms, I direct them to someone else that has the business. Like if you were around, I say that, because stuff like that. And I only like you, if I don't really know your business, I can't promote someone's business. But there are a few people that I actually say to check out and get worms from him or her or stuff like that. Yeah. So, but Mimi's is my really go-to worm farmer. But like it says, there's more people around, but I have not really built a relationship to connect with them and stuff. Yeah, and Northeast Worms, he was a good one to go to as well.
Yeah, and is it Natural Soils? He sells good worms, I heard too. Natural Soils.
Yeah, but but like I said, there's so many people out there, but I don't have a relationship right now, so I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I only see what I see on the YouTube. But so what we see could be different behind scenes. I don't know. But
I keep it real because because I says if like say me and you are business partners, but like say you were shady, but I'd send people your way, then that would make us both look bad because we're influencers on YouTube and
it happens a lot as you're wearing on a weekly basis. I'm always seeing people even going back to buying worms where people were saying, "Oh, you know yourself." They're saying, "Oh, I've got these red wrigglers, but I'm pretty sure they're not." And anyone owns worms, and they're all blues. What the hell they bought? Then people don't care. They got your money.
That's right. Because I bought worms from a person. My first batch was mixed worms. I didn't know the difference, but for me, it don't bother me. But I have like mixed worms, the mixed, the pure red wigglers. And for me, my personal opinion, like I said, I like the mixed worm bin, my diverse inclusion the most, because like you said, they work different levels in that bin. And I think the castings are produced faster from what I see.
Just thought of a good point there. Also, anyone who wants to use the night crawlers, their casting is actually bigger, as you probably know. So it's a bigger cast. It's like a you see it. It's bigger, and some people like that, and they like that. They reckon it's bigger, it's better, or whatever. But as you say, they will eat. Night crawlers will eat what the other ones don't eat. I've never had a problem of them overdoing each other. Like people say, I don't put night crawlers in with your mixed bin because you have in 12 months you have nothing but night crawlers. I actually find it the other way around. I find the mixed bins still there's no change. Mm-hmm. You might have some night crawlers there, but it's not overwhelming. But what will take over, I can there's not much I can guarantee about with worms, but if you introduce blues into your bin, I mean a lot of blues, they will overtake very quickly.
That's what I was told.
Yeah, and they're good. They're very good. Also, they're very good for compost and stuff. Yeah. Down, well, as I say, Sydney, where I'm, Victoria, one of the towns. He was breeding night crawlers. Anyway, he was on one of the worm websites saying that he's got all these worms he can't get rid of. Now I'm thinking, beauty. I'll take him one. Now, the previous farmer was breeding compost worms and in windrows, but they're mainly blues, right? Okay. They're mainly blue worms. Now, he introduced windrows out in the property, and the blue worms were overtaking the population of his worms. So when he time to sell them, he had 50% blue worms more than night crawlers. Mm. And I never heard it before, and I don't know how they do it, but they're gassing them. They're getting them and they're gassing them, the blue worms. I don't know if they put them in a bag or what they do. I said to him, well, I don't do that. I'll take many as I want. Anyway, he sent me about 20 or 30 kilo, bloody, to me, it cost me $100 and something. They were fantastic composters, but once again, with the blues, with most worms, probably didn't mention already, you know yourself, with the climate, if it's going to start to rain,
decline.
The worms are smarter than our news reporters. I'll tell you, we should have worms as news reporters because they can tell you when it rains. They all start to stop. Okay? These ones say, oh, it's going to rain tonight and never rains. Anyway, yeah. Beautiful. If you can keep them in a small container like Africans, they'll breed. And they have 3 or 4 babies per egg, sometimes maybe 5. I had them, and I had so many of them. I was giving them away. I said, and the bloke said, "Now you imagine them out in the property. He's got 40 acres. Well, he had over 1,100 windrows, right? Wow. Big windrows, and he said they were overpopulating because the previous farmer just left them, and they went into the soil. So when he come along, poured all this nice compost, introduced his eggs and worms, whatever he done, they decided we're going to go up here and breed. So it's the only thing I can suggest. If I've got blues in my bins, I'll lose them. I go in on a weekly basis after it rains and they're on the floor. But I'm talking 4 or 5, a handful. I'm not worried. I just go to myself. It's a silly blue again. You know, the suicidal blues. I call them. So, but it's. I've been watching a lot of YouTube ones and seeing a lot of the Canadian night crawlers out there. They're a quite big worm. You ever dealt with them?
Yeah, that's a hit. Those worms scare me.
I'd be worried about it getting out in the middle of the night and choking me or something, like a bloody snake. There's one lady I watched there. She's just started a channel and she's been doing it.
LP?
Yeah. I'm like, what? They're in the big bin and they curl around like a snake. So what? I'm telling you, AJ, I would be locking that down. They got out in the middle of the night, you'd lose a cat or something, I reckon. They're massive. But they're originally wild, aren't they? Over there? Are they wild? I watched a couple of docos about them. There's one I watched the doco. I don't know, we're in America somewhere. It was a colder climate, and they're using a a big trommel on wheels, a massive
Okay.
trommel on wheels, and at the front had a little tractor motor, and the bloke sat there, and the scoop would come along the side of these bankments where they put manure, and they attracted all the Canadian night crawlers, and it'd go up, and then it'd go straight into the sift, and out the back into a truck that was following. Tons and tons of big night crawlers. And then they took them to this big factory, and they're having massive foam boxes, and they keep them at a certain temperature. But they're supplying fishing shops and stuff. But they don't. The ones they had weren't real big. Well, the one on OP there, yeah, I'm like, whoa! I thought I had weren't there. If a cat were missing, I'd be getting rid of the worms.
Yeah, they scare me too. Canadians are I'm scared of those. Like I said, they're big worms.
Are they good?
And
their
tail's different too. They have a different tail.
Are they good for fishing?
Yeah, they're good for fishing, but they're like I thought they were like a colder climate worm, like you said. So, I would never get into them. If I had the climate, I would get African night crawlers. That's a worm I'd always want to try. But yeah, Canadians, nope.
Where you are, if it's warmer, I'd suggest get Africans. You see, that's the thing with if you get it from someone that breeds Africans, you can't go wrong. You're not going to get a mixture in there. It's India, a few warmer climate places around the world. I see that they watch my channel and stuff. They've taken even Mexico, even parts of Mexico. That's the funny thing. I have more viewers watching it from around the other side of the world than actually where I live.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
And they've said, and you see them all, even Vietnam, China, they have all African night crawlers, and you see how many they get out. It's mind blowing. It's millions of it, and the agriculture thing over there. And there's a gentleman. He hasn't got a channel anymore. He used to be in what was that country? Philippines. I think it was the Philippines or something, or Thailand.
Okay.
And he used to get all the coconuts, the palm, the oil ones. I make the oil out of whatever.
Yeah. Olive oil.
Palm oil.
Okay.
And he had a channel, and right next to a massive big factory, it looked like a prison, and they used to pump all the pulp out.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow.
And he used to put them in windrows, and even the oil that they didn't use, they used to pump in big pipes. And he worked out a way, and he used so many types of worms. And because the things used to heat up a lot, and there's a lot of hot climates, it's tropical. The African night crawlers, they went through that thing so quick. There'd be tons and tons of these husks. They're watered down, and it'd be poles of it like 6 or 7 foot tall. It went for miles. So probably 8 months or 9 months, it'll break down. If he'd sell the castings back to the people. So what he's doing now, he sells the worm castings back to the palm oil farmers. And what he's actually recognizing now, after 5 or 6 months, when it breaks down, because the shell, as anyone knows, it's very hard, it's fibrous. Once they start breaking it down into, it's fibrous, but you can pick it up. He's selling that per ton back to people with the palm oil trees, which once again, we're in the country, don't make much money. So he's made a market where he can still make profit. And what he does now, and they're buying by semi-load, and they put that around the roots of the plant. And what they recognised, the worm castings that are in it, in the pathogens, what do you want to say, are keeping all the bugs away from the trees. So all the bugs used to go to the trees and climb the tree and eat the inside of the palm and that. They spend more time eating. They eat what's on the ground. And by the time this thing blooms and gets they've done a study there where it's how it's like 40% it's grown and in so many years it's never grown that good. And they're growing these palms in sides of hilltops where you need a rope to go down and go in by helicopter in extreme areas. But it just goes to show that how you get the right worm, they'll work for you. And as as much as I say Africans might take off, but if you get a warm climate, you just sit back and watch them. They breed. And when I had them at the time, they say 1 or 2 babies per cocoon. I could be wrong. I reckon there was a lot more, because I'll tell you what, they were hatching that quick. I couldn't keep up with them.
Oh wow. Wow.
It was only because the colder climate come, and I didn't know they didn't like it, and they just packed their bags and went. And so, but getting back to educational, like as you say, you do general education. There's more. I find more value in that than actually. That's harder than actually breeding the worms.
I understand. Yeah.
Because people will, what you say, people will be gospel. People will 100% believe what you say. So you got to be careful.
Yeah, exactly.
Careful, like we're saying.
Yep, exactly.
Who you buy the product off? What worms? Who you deal with?
Yeah.
We can all make quick money and say, yeah, Bruce down the road, he can do it. No worries. Bruce gives you $20 or $100, whatever it is, to sell his worms. Yeah. I've got that option too.
Exactly.
In Australia here, people, because of the demand for worms, people sell their worms at $45. Or I seen one the other day, actually, she's selling for $80. I don't know how many she sells, but
I'll ask you for a second. Keep talking. My headphones went out on me.
There's a big company in they sell it for $80 for 1,000. I don't know how many. I don't know how many they're selling, but it doesn't seem much. But so we got you got Walmart over there, right? We got Bunnings. Bunnings sells worms 1,000 for $50, $55. I think it used to be $60, right? So they put them in the packet. They're the shelves. A lot of them could be dead by the time because they leave them in there. They don't care. Now it's $50, right? Yeah. Now there's other people in the net selling them $65, $60, saying that they're organic worms and they're the best worms ever. Because I don't know where they get this information from, but if people want to go and buy them as organic worms and pay $20 extra, no, you go. But when you work out, there's no difference. Their worms are mine because they're the same breed. But the difference is, I used to sell mine for $25, and I couldn't keep them up. And people would say, "You're an idiot. Do you know how much they're selling the?" You know, I'd say, I just want to. Now I'm trying to get a small business. I've got more inputs coming in. I said, I'll try $40.
Yeah,
and I still can't keep up. But
okay.
But when they buy them, I tell them, I know the worm because I bred them on my property. I know them. I don't know the names; they're not named, but I know when you buy them, they've already been eating the compost, they've already been eating the food scraps because that's what I've been feeding them. So when you go home, they're already used to eating scraps. So when you feed them scraps, they're going to be into it straight away, or after 3 days, whatever it breaks down. You know what I mean? And give them some extra cocoons and some smaller ones for a bonus. You know. As I say, it's good to get the money in, good to get the money, but money goes. You know, whatever figure you want to say. So hypothetically, someone come to your house today or rung you up and said, "I want to buy 50 kilos of worms," right? And you put them on to someone that's it's bad. You get your cut, you get your money. It doesn't turn out right. I can guarantee you, I don't care if it's $100,000, which you won't. Whatever amount of money you got from them worms is not enough for what you're about to get off people that hear that you're selling bad worms, and that's any product. I would rather give people worms for free.
Yeah,
that's not a plot. I'm just saying hypothetically.
Yeah,
I'm just putting it out there before anyone gets excited, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's that I have give people free worms because they wound up about certain things. I have said, look, I don't want your money. No. You take your worms, and when you think you're happy, with them, you can come back if you want. And then, what if I don't come back? Well, I go honesty. Okay, it's bit me in the ass for many years, but you can come back. A week later, people come back with a van full of people. And I think, what's going on here? Some church service is at the wrong address or something. And they're going, oh, that's my cousin. And they wanted to buy heaps. And they said, oh, them worms was fantastic. They're eating all the scraps of mine. And then once I started doing it, then I sold $400 worth of worms out of $40.
Yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. So, question for you.
Yes, sorry, go. Sorry.
Yeah. So, how do people connect with you? Is it like, do people just buy local? Do you have a website? I know you don't ship them like to certain places, but
yeah,
how do you handle that?
Well, what I do at the moment, I've got it on my channel. It's called hawkesburyworms.com. They can go on the website if you're in Australia, more or less. As I say, a lot of them are not. They can go and order there. Sometimes I've sold out. I can't on my website. I can't actually. The person that does the website won't put sold on there for some reason. I'm not too sure, but anyway, they can do that. But what my main volume at the moment, I put them on Facebook. Now, Facebook for a while wouldn't let you put them on there.
Because it's a live animal or something.
Yeah, so you could only sell castings, and even worm castings I couldn't sell for a while. But I'll put them on Marketplace, and they're allowing you to do it now. And I've been getting a lot of volume. So what I do, I say to people, go to my website and order through there. So word of mouth, next one I know, I go to check that person, and there's 6 or 7 people ordered and go, whoa, what's going on here, you know? So hawkesburyworms.com. If they go on my channel, DNA and Worm Castings, they don't have to subscribe. They can like. As I say, I'm not one of them YouTubers that are trying to be $1 million. I just want to slowly educate people myself what I've done wrong and what I do.
Right, that's good.
I don't have videos every day. Everyone's different. I've got on my channel like buy me a coffee. I think one person bought me coffee 3 years ago, so I wouldn't be I'm not relying on that. I don't have any links or nothing because I don't have enough views yet. And as you know, and other people know with the links and stuff, you have to know the people. You can't just go, put that on there and then you can blow up. I'd rather just sell worms. I'm happy to sell worms. So I'll go out the shed today and I'm sifting worms. I'll do my worms, and it's not constant. It's not a big thing where my email bings all day. But now it's in spring, autumn, where it's warmer weather, probably like where you are now. People get the garden. Everyone wants to get in the gardening. Everyone wants to go in the gardening. So everybody wants to have worms. So the commercial people are all sold out. They're sold out because they supply shops and hardwares and stuff. So they're sold out long time. So they're starting to work out of supply and demand. So they'll say, look, I know it's 9 o'clock at night. Sorry for waking you up, whatever, text, whatever. As a shift worker, it's an advantage because I work 2 days on, 2 off. So I work 2 day shifts and 2 night shifts, and then I have 4 days off. That's why I'm allowed. That's why I've got time to do it.
That's good.
Yeah, so I could be up all hours of the night. They might text me at 9. I'll say it's okay. I'm a shift worker. It's 7 o'clock next morning, I might get home. I might go straight in the shed. Most of my trays already got the 1,000 worms in there. All I do if for pickup is put them into. I use like a small sand. They use for sandbags. They're breathable bags. A gentleman put me on there. They're very good for breathable and on hot weather. I just put them straight into that. Quick tie the top. Put them near my front door. When they knock on the door, I get the money, and that's it. Some people like to chat like me. I will tell them briefly. It's not the time, 7 o'clock in the morning. I haven't been to bed yet. So, but people like to.
It's like my headphones went out again. I don't know why they keep doing that. Hold on.
I think your satellite. I said before, you come up on the screen. Your satellite's not working. Solar's not working. Do you have solar? Because a picture come up before of us. It said solar not working.
I'm trying to find. Hold on a second. My headphones went out. I don't know why they're acting up now.
Might be Bluetooth, is it? Are you Bluetoothing?
Okay, I hear you now. Yeah, it's going in and out.
Yeah, earlier it come up on the screen, as you're probably aware, and a picture of a solar power picture. It said low, solar power low. Will come up on the screen before.
Okay.
So I don't know if you, I don't know if you're interested for that.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about solar power, so
yeah. I don't have solar power, but we're supposed to have storms and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's affecting the
so pretty much just pick up on that. I've changed around a different way. Most of the commercial people, they're doing it for a living, so I fully understand they can't muck around with people. You fill in what you want, they'll send it to you. That's fully understandable. I'm out of here, they're up here, right?
Yeah. I'm trying
to.
At least you started though.
Yeah, I want people to come to me. I tell people, if you're not happy with bringing back, I don't care. Look, the money. I say to them, that $40 you give me, right? Okay, I go buy lunch down the road and that. I'm left for $10. So it's not like I'm buying a sports car with it or something. But I want people to word it out.
That's
you know, it's childcare. A couple of childcares have it. I had a childcare come and buy them. I've had probably like yourself, a few people. A young bloke, he would have been about 12 or 13 with his dad, and he had a handful of coins, and he was holding them like that. He had special needs, if you know what I mean. So his parents were teaching him. They was telling him he has to save his money to get stuff and that. He didn't really talk. He talked, but what he couldn't really understand what he marks. But that's not putting. I'm just putting. So what when I tell you, you know anyway. So anyway, so I give him the worms, and he give me the money. And his dad said, "Well, he's worked hard for that. He's been doing chores, washing cars and stuff. This is anyone else selling for $25." So I said, "Okay." I said to him, the boy, "So you earned this. You worked for this." And he went like, I said to him, "I'll show you a trick." I said, "Go like that," and I'll give it back to him. I said, "Because you earned your money for these worms, I'd like you to take the worms for free because you already offered it, but you take it." And they're all going, "No." I said, "No, he's learned that way." Just for that little favor, and I didn't do it for any reason but kindness.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had people come back wanting to buy it for the kids.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. That's a great story.
And that's with my business. I say to them, it's not about the money. It's I'm not saying I'm going to give away worms, but it's if I would put the effort in, I want something back.
I hear
most of the stuff I've put back in. Like this year, I went, as I said, from last year, I sold out really quickly, and I had them in the 6x6 bin or 3x3 bins. And what I've done last year, the difference is, you probably already know, you've watched my video, but just that people haven't. I had them breeding in there just by themselves, so just free range, and give them scraps and then get more stuff up and up and up like that. But when it comes to sifting, I didn't know how much was in there, and people were ordering big orders. So after a while, I'm thinking, I got to be careful because I'm going to end up selling all my stock.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening. I'm like, I went to some bins, 3 or 4 bins I sold, and I'm like, oh, the money's coming in, and I see the money, and I was getting excited, and then I'm thinking, I better check how many I got. Lucky I checked. I put, say, doesn't sound much, but 10,000 worms, 20,000 worms as breeders, right? I had them in there for 8 months, so I don't know the calculation on that, but they bred whatever. When I got back, I only had about 10,000 breeders left, if that. If I kept going, I would have sold out.
I see.
Okay, go
ahead.
Yeah. So I would have sold my breeders.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done now, I've put the breeders into the drawers, and when I sift the cocoons, I put them cocoons onto the heat mats, etc. I'm just trying and error that one. While I was through, and I put the eggs back and let them grow in the big grow up bins. And roughly I'll know what's there. So whatever I take out of that bin after 5 months, I won't know how many's there. But once I know, okay, I'm out. It's not affecting my breeders.
Mm-hmm.
And then and that's another point, as you said before. If you want to start breeding them, that's another point. Have them separated, and that way you're not getting rid of your breeders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So even if there's something goes wrong with that big bin, the grow out bins, that something goes wrong, it's not affecting your things. When you spend a lot of years and a lot of hard work doing it, it's like any business. You don't want to wreck it. And I've learned once again, I've Mimi's Worm Farms, all that stuff I've learned off her channels from 2 years ago, where it's called Pick Your Brain, whatever it's called, the channel, like the subject. Man, I've watched that thing that many times, over and over, and each time I watch it, I pick up stuff.
That's right. That's always good. That's what's good about our worm farming community. We don't hide things. I mean, you won't tell us everything about your business. Some things you just want to keep yourself. But yeah, we share a lot. It's free, a lot of free information. And if you're watching this video or the live stream as a viewer, check out Darren's channel. If you like what you see and hear from him, give him subscribe. Right now, you're at 330 something subscribers, correct, Darren? 339.
Yeah, roughly that. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. But
it's not as big as Darren up there. It's not as big as some.
Yeah, let's get Darren. Yeah, but the thing is, we're growing slowly, and that's good. And we're not big where we don't like answer comments and stuff like that. So
yeah, I noticed that too.
I'm happy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I noticed that with some of the bigger channels, they can have 150, 200 people commenting, and that they might just put a love heart or something, but they don't comment back. And I'm like, that's how they're losing viewers. I'm not in this situation. They're probably a busy person, but you would think that you'd make something where I don't know, some computerized something, even put a love heart or react.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you think you're talking to AI or something, no?
Yeah.
But that's up to them people, I watch a lot of some of the new worm farming channels now, and because I watch that much of it, their subjects and the footage off there is from someone else's channel. They've downloaded it from someone else. It's a computer
clip and. Yeah, you can't do that.
I'm like,
you can't do that.
That's the poor bugger's not being rude. He's Asian. You're African American.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm thinking,
that's right.
I'm like, I want to talk to like yourself, whatever. I want a true person.
And that's what I want. That's what my videos are. They're not AI. They're 100% AJ. You hear my ums, these, does, burps, and all that stuff like you.
I do think one thing, your cat's AI, but it has to be. Huh? What's her name again?
Her name's Ruby. She's
Ruby.
AI. I'm going to pick up and show you on my next video. I will start her off in the video.
She's a legend. I've shown people at my work, they nearly wet their pants.
Awesome.
That cat, what's he doing? I'm saying, look at the cat. You hope the bin lid, you had the lid up, and you're driving. And all of a sudden you zoom over and the cat's looking at like she's counting them. And I'm thinking, whoa. And hey, her balance, she balances.
Yeah, she's got balance. Yeah, she's got a lot of dexterity.
She can
walk on the bin. Yeah, she's got good.
It's like a possum.
Yeah.
But you know what? Take the mice down too, wouldn't it? You wouldn't have much mice with her around.
Yeah, I'll get her in the next video. I'll give you a shout out too for that.
She's a crack up, that one. And it's not set up. It's not like you put the cat there and you
No, she just comes at the right time and I just get her in there. So it's like all real.
One of these TikTok things, you put a bit of music and like a magical music, and all of a sudden then you're here, and then she's just like, boom, she's there. And you're like, what? Where'd that cat come from? And in your comments, you get more comments about your cat than the worms.
Exactly.
I reckon you do a documentary about your cat, and they wouldn't even ask about the bloody worms.
Exactly. I hear you, man. I wish we could chat a lot longer, but it's getting late. I got to get up early and stuff. But we definitely have to do this again.
Appreciate your time, and
you too.
it's good to meet you. I've watched many hours of your channel and enjoy your laugh and stuff and you're the real thing. So
thank you. You as well.
You're not AI, are you? But
here's the deal.
Yep.
When you get your live stream, let's connect again. I'll come to your channel and you can introduce your people to me, and we'll just do it that way. You know what I mean?
I'll do that. I'll have to give Jane from Rock and Worms and a few other people.
Yeah.
Make sure you give enough time because it's a different timeline.
That's right.
So what do you reckon? A couple of days is enough to start advertising for a live stream, you reckon?
Yep. That's about a couple of days, and we'll just go from there. Like I said, shoot me an email. We got our email addresses.
Thank you for that.
But I appreciate you. I'm going to end it like this.
No worries. And
you haven't already. I'm sorry,
I was about to say, if anyone out there hasn't subscribed to AJ's channel or stuff like that, go ahead and do so. I've got to say he's a real person. He's not AI, and
that's right.
And his cat might be. We have to find that out. But what you see is what you get.
That's right. That's right.
And he's got to teach people. So I just got to say that. Yeah.
Yep, and I appreciate that. And I want to say the same thing. If you haven't, check out Darren's channel. This is the first time we connected live. Good guy. If you're around, check out his worms, buy his worm castings. But the thing that I would encourage you most to do is subscribe to his channel, leave comments, and leave thumbs ups, because that helps the algorithm and that helps to get his name, face, and business out there. So I want to say thank everyone for watching. Thank you, Darren, for your time. You have a blessed day, and I hope your business gets
stay blessed, sir, and I will see you shortly then.
You too. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.